Awesome, man. Hey, we love
Wow.
this. We love these rough cuts, guys. What is up, everybody in the kingdom? Welcome to another amazing podcast roundtable conversation that we have with myself. Royalty trades could not make it, unfortunately, but we have trying to make it, stepping in as well, trying to make it. How you doing, man, on this fine
What's
Sunday?
up, guys? What's up, guys? How you guys doing? My brother Royalty Trades, man. We stepping in, filling in some big shoes, but it's all good. I'm feeling great this weekend. On autopilot, relaxing, just looking around. A lot of opportunities are opening up, a lot of uncertainty around the market, and we're here to dissect whatever you guys, have in mind and whatever is probably on everybody else's mind. But chillaxing, how you guys doing? We got Fish here, we got Perunga. What's going on, guys?
What's going on? Hope everybody's having a beautiful day, enjoying the weekend. It's a long weekend nonetheless, but still, hope we've been having a good time.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm kind of, I don't know about you guys, I'm kind of bummed out. I'm gonna be waking up tomorrow morning, no market to take a look at here. So the 4 day weeks are always, kind of killer. I feel like for us because we're excited to get back in the market and everything. But it gives us an extra day to kind of relax a little bit, do a little bit of research here, and talk about a lot of things. We had a lot of things coming out last week, and what we'll kind of do is kind of just first start off with just some ideas here, anything that you're seeing in the markets here potentially, any kind of breaking news you might have read into, any kind of fancy articles, stocks you're looking at, and we'll kind of just go from there as we kind of lead more into it. So we'll start off with you, Fish. Fish, anything exciting that you looked at over the last week or so, anything the weekend, anything that you have liked, things that you've read up that's got you nervous? What do we got going on here on your end?
Well, so some things that I like. I'm liking ACHR. I'm loading up on it as I can. Just DCA, DCA, DCA.
Archer.
That's a Yeah, Archer Aviation. That's a long hold for me. They are the official air taxi of the 2028 Olympics in Los Angeles. So I figured, let me start accumulating now. By the time that comes around, I think that stock price will be, or I should say, I think shareholders will be handsomely rewarded on that one. It's another favorite, but everybody loves Neo. Neo's looking good as well. So I'm looking at getting back into that. I've already taken profit on it, unfortunately. But hey, you got to take profit where you see them, right?
Right.
And
So I know that you're talking about Archer Aviation, right? So you said they're the official what of the 2028 Olympics in Los Angeles?
air taxi.
Okay.
That's some
Is that is
futuristic
that is
shit.
that breaking news that came out recently? Because I didn't really see anything about that just yet. I haven't really read too much into it, but is that recent, relatively newly announced, Fish?
No, that's a few months old actually.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
But think about the amount of airtime. Think about if any of those Olympians fly in on something from Archer Aviation. You got millions and millions of people watching it live happening, right? Then you're gonna be saying, "Oh wow, like I want to get into this company here. Oh, is it publicly traded? Oh, look at that, it really is." So that is gonna be some insane
Mm-hmm.
advertising you get from Archer Aviation just on the fact of just being a part of the Olympics. They're not. I mean, like you're gonna have Olympics is one of the most watched things that's televised all over the world. We're not even talking about like United States wise. We're not talking about just North America, but the entire world every time likes to love watching the Olympics. That could be some very good publicity for Archer Aviation, I would say, don't you think?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's going to send the stock going crazy.
Yeah,
In
and they're
my
giving
opinion.
discounts
In my
out.
opinion.
Nice little spot to start picking up some shares 100%. We've been consolidating here for a little bit. There's been a retest of a zone that we used to have a lot of rejection at, and now we're coming back down to this discount area. Pretty nice to see how we're gonna go along with it moving forward. I see a lot of compression in price here. So buyers, they're gonna start stepping in, and that kind of catalyst, like First said, man, send it to the moon, right?
Yeah, I mean that's one of those things where you really think about it, where it's advertising, right? It's not even like looking at it from a financial perspective or looking at it from even a technical perspective. Just the name itself, Like I
Mm-hmm.
remember like a while ago when I was talking about SoFi as a company, like many months, if not maybe like a year ago. But SoFi is the official stadium partner of I believe it's the Rams, I believe, and it's like you don't just it's not just anybody gets their name put on a stadium. You don't just be like, oh, like we'll just put it there for
Exactly.
fun, you know? Like, so when you start to see like where the advertising is going to, who has this stadium owned, who has this advertising billboard here, and who has this there, you know, like Arch Aviation, that's going to be basically a worldwide billboard on national
Yeah.
television. And
Yeah.
people are gonna be like, that's crazy. You know, imagine seeing like those famous athletes or famous Olympians flying in on Arch Aviation products. That's free advertising right there. And like
Hmm.
this thing could shoot up for the moon. That's why I didn't even know about that until Fish, you just said that. I didn't know they
Yeah.
were partnered with the Olympics for that. That's absolutely insane to hear.
Yeah,
Exactly.
that's a crazy one. So that makes me say I need to get into this now. You know.
Yeah.
I wanna add on to what Fridge was mentioning right there. When you get into these stocks, and in terms of long-term investments, you really wanna brand recognition is extremely important. It's a part of qualitative analysis because when you're looking at a stock, you're looking at, where that name goes around, where it's involved, how far do the strings go, how deep is the root, news, company leadership, all these industries that are emerging and coming up, who are they attaching themselves to? How are they getting their name around? Who's investing? Like that's very, very good to spot out when it comes to these stocks that are starting to come up, right? They're cheap right now. The valuation is great, and then once things start to pick up for the stock, and then it starts to head to these prices that start to really match up with the valuation that the company is going to start bringing in. And at that point, you're going to be like, oh wow, I was extremely early because I already saw how far the stock was going or the name of the stock was going and the brand from the beginning. And yeah, no, that's great. 100%.
Yeah, and I mean, think about Archer. We're looking at Fish is talking about 2028 Olympics in Los Angeles. We're 2020, end of 2025. Like, you still got a couple of years to go until the Olympics even come out. So Archer Aviation probably, I wouldn't expect to go bankrupt anytime soon, especially when you have Olympics on the horizon. I would be
Yeah.
shocked if they were just like, we're gonna stop doing this and just kind of pump the brakes. It's like, nah, we want to get full throttle here. Get our products out now, start refining products and even if their first, VTOL air taxi isn't the most best product they got, they still have 3 more years to put out an amazing one to put center stage on the Olympics. And that's what's going to be something.
Yep.
They're going to be looking to innovate and make the best product to put center stage in Los Angeles 2028, in my opinion. So this is just the early stages of things. Got a couple years still to go. And that's absolutely unbelievable to hear that they have that kind of official, partnership almost with the Olympics.
Yeah,
Yes,
it's
man.
it's pretty crazy, man. The the CEO came out and he announced that on, I think it was on Jimmy Fallon or something like that. It was
Mm,
pretty nuts, man. Pretty nuts when they announced that. Another
yeah.
one that I like, that's Jesus. I mean, I am such an idiot with this one. I had this when it was like I sold it at 66 cents because there was some news that came out that I didn't fully understand when I had first started trading, and wow, it's now at $3.04. So that's not a bad return in about a year. Um, it's RR Rich Tech Robotics.
I've
Um,
heard of this. I've heard of them.
yeah, man. I
Yep.
mean, robotics are just with AI, they are the wave of the future. And this is a company that seems like they've gotten in early, and they're doing a decent enough job.
Yeah, I
So
believe they recently had some sort of partnership. I forgot with who.
I believe it was Nvidia.
That's what I was gonna say. I want to say it was Nvidia, and then they recently just did a $100 million stock offering announcement, which means they're gonna be diluting more. I believe is it stock offering, or I'm trying to remember what those do exactly. Um, So they had $100 million
Probably.
stock offering for that one, which basically means they're probably trying to raise more capital. Which again, when you have these companies that are startups that aren't positive in terms of profit versus debt and stuff like that, obviously they got to try to grow their company somehow. How do you grow companies and how do you leverage yourself? You take on more debt. Anything you can to get ahead and try to grow your company here. My only concern with the robotics side of things with Rich Tech is that like there's another one that's really really good, which I believe is called Symbotic. I don't know if you guys know about Symbotic, but Symbotic is also another company that does, I believe, robotics as well. So Fish, have you ever heard of Symbotic by any chance?
I have not.
Let's take that one. Symbiotic. Oh,
Yes.
SYM?
Yep. So Symbotic is a technology company that does things with supply chains. They do artificial intelligence powered robotic and software platforms. I believe they are already partnered with major brands. Let me look it up on Google because I don't want to get the things wrong here. Um, but they have some really good, robots. They're partnered with Walmart right now, so they are already
Oh,
being used in Walmart stores in terms of like supply chains and stuff like that, supply their warehouses. So Symbotic is one of those ones where it's like I've seen RR quite a bit, and I just worry about it because when you look at that robotics, like Symbotic has already become like an announced name for the robotic industry. They already have major partnerships with Walmart. So what would make RR really stand out here? They're also partnered with Albertsons and Target as well in terms again of the warehouses and supply chains. So I'm wondering what would make RR stand out compared to Symbotic, which has already put their name out there. So I don't know, Fish, have you seen anything in terms of like maybe what makes RR really stand out, or is it kind of just more of like those momentum plays you're thinking? What are your thoughts on that?
more of a momentum play, just
Mm,
because I've been watching it for about a year, and I just, I mean, Nvidia goes into a lot of things, sure, but if Nvidia goes into it, that gives me a little bit more confidence in the company as well.
right. I think it's one of those things where like my big worry is that like, and this is what I believe if you guys remember this as well, this happened also with Nvidia a little while ago, where Nvidia announced they bought share ownership with SoundHound and it pushed SoundHound to $24. Then news came out, they pulled out of SoundHound AI and put their money somewhere else and bought shares somewhere else, and it crashed the stock like 15-20%, if not more. I don't remember that by any chance, Fish, but that's my big
No.
worry. That's my big worry. So if you look at the SoundHound chart that China Make it's pulling up, that huge pump to $24 that you see over there, that's after they announced that NVIDIA was bought up a good amount of shares in SoundHound AI itself. Then news comes out, they disclose they closed their position share there and they bought in somewhere else, and SoundHound tanked back down to like $8 a share. Like it was just, it's one of those things
Wow.
where, so that's one of the things where I worry about like when NVIDIA announces partnerships, because yeah, it's cool and all, but then what happens when they pull out? Then what?
E-
You know?
Exactly. No, that's a great point, Fridge.
So yeah, so I mean, like Symbotic is one of those companies that has a much bigger market cap. They're worth $28 billion. Still aren't profitable. It looks like they don't have a 4 PE ratio that's positive yet. But they're a company that's already partnered with those major retailers like Walmart, like Target, like those kind of things to do supply chains. I
Right.
don't know if somebody could overtake them at this moment in time. I guess the next robotics that would take over would be Tesla Optimus, most likely, because of the technology software they'll be using. But I am worried about robotics in that play, but I think it could be a good momentum play for sure. As long as AI keeps running, then why not? You know?
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
So it's definitely a tough play. Pruga, how you doing, man? Any kind of thoughts about like the robotics thing? Anything you're seeing maybe on your side of things as the master of option sellers? I know I shouldn't call you a master, but I always do anyways. So
It's all right.
anything you have about the robotics game? Anything that you might think of? Thoughts, ideas?
Yeah, I don't have any tickers, but I mean, it's definitely something. You guys are right, like an opportunity with AI and everything. And I mean, that's the next, to take over manual labor would make sense.
Yeah, for sure. And that kind of leads into, I know that you already talked about this already, but I released this video earlier today about, a stock that I think is going to do relatively well despite the AI problem. And this is going to lead up into, talking about economic data and then what happened last week, what's coming this week. So I have a nice, transition period for all of us. Don't worry. But the major thing that I was looking at, I was reading this article over the weekend, is about how trade school programs are taking off. And enrollment is up, 6% annually per year now. It's projected because AI can take over as many jobs as it wants. It can take over those warehouses potentially, sure. It can take over, supply chains, some of that, sure. But AI can't do one thing, and it can't take over blue collar jobs, plumbing, HVAC, electricians. Like it can't take over those kind of jobs. And I was sitting there, I was like, well, yeah, that makes sense. Like I wouldn't want a robot coming into my apartment and trying to fix my sink or trying to fix my electrical wires. Or trying to do any of that kind of stuff. I would like to have somebody who's experienced in the field with many, many years of experience to come in and fix my stuff the first time correctly and not get it wrong. So another company that I think might do good long term is Universal Technical Institute. Now, the ticker
Ooh,
symbol is UTI, and it's a
good.
great ticker symbol by itself. Let me tell you, it's a great ticker symbol in and of itself. UTI, like let me tell you, but it's a very interesting play to look at because they are a company that does trade schools across the country. They have 16 campuses right now that invest in trade schools, and I can't see these guys not benefiting from AI because if you think about the labor market, we're not getting job creation. Why are we not getting job creation? Well, because people are using AI softwares to take over those jobs. So where are people going to go to? Well, they're not going to go to those white collar jobs of working in a desk or anything like that because why would they when AI can do all the work for them? But instead, it's the blue collar ones that people, yeah, Rocket Team. I see the commercials, right? UTI has a lot of those commercials, and their enrollment's going to be shooting up astronomically. I feel like because you can't replace these jobs. I don't know if you guys think about this or not. I know I put a video about it and stuff. We talked about it a little bit, but what is your logic and what's your thoughts on getting into investing in maybe a trade school potentially?
Um,
I love it.
think,
I
yeah, I
think
think you're.
I think it's the
Go
wave
ahead,
of the
Chris.
future. Sorry, just gonna say real quick. I think it's the wave of the future, and I think that a lot of people sleep on the fact that really soon we're not going to have very many trade contractors
Mm,
because people are thinking more about office jobs, and they have thought about that for quite some time. And so, the older plumbers, carpenters, mechanics, HVAC, electricians, guys like that, they're going to be retiring, and there's going to be a void to fill, and that
mm.
void is going to end up costing a lot of money. Those people will end up making quite a bit of money, I believe.
Yeah, for sure. Purunga, thoughts?
No, I think it's a smart move. I didn't really think
Hmm.
about it, but I also like a season or two ago, South Park did an episode about how like the new billionaires will be handymen and plumbers because of exactly what we're talking about AI. So hey, they were onto something before you, but you're onto something here. If South Park's talking about it, it's probably relevant.
Right?
That's
I
right.
know,
I agree.
and yeah, and it's one of those things where if you really think about it, I like that how you talk about it, Fish, in terms of this idea of like, you're gonna have people retiring and stuff like that, and that just means that the people who are still in these fields have more pricing power. Unlike these major companies who right now dealing with tariffs, there's only so much they can do with their pricing powers right now of their supplies, of their, of whatever it is they give to people and what they provide for the consumer. You can only control so much of it right now because of tariffs. But with people retiring and less people working, you still need that HVAC technician. You still need that electrician. You still need that plumber. You still need all these things to survive in our society, no matter what. And so the fact of the matter is that these people who might be, not as, there might not be as many as you think that are out in the workforce, they get to choose the price. And if you're telling people that like, hey, like I can come out of college and trade school in a couple of years, I can pick my price and do what price I want to use, you know, that's a gold mine right there. And I think a lot of people are gonna start going into that kind of market, which I think is absolutely amazing. So
Hmm.
I'm really, really looking at now saying like focusing on selling probably I'm looking at probably buying a leap option at least on this company here and just kind of seeing where it's going to go because I don't see any downside to this company.
Yeah.
I can't find a negative to it. I don't know if you guys can see a negative in terms of investing in a trade school like this, but they have 16 campuses across 9 states right now. And enrollment's going to be 7% increase per year. And public universities are about 2% increase per year. So they're going to be increasing their enrollment. You're in college for less time and it costs you less, and you can price yourself at a higher rate and get more money for it. I don't see where this could go down right
Yep.
now.
I completely agree with you. I'm looking at the chart right now, and it's
Yep.
just been an expansion mode. You know what I mean? I've seen it going this is insane. You know, we're talking about a $7 low back in 2023, and now we're seeing lows of 26 and a high of 35. So it seems like,
Mhm.
you know, this whole expansion that we've been seeing is everything that Fitch Financials is bringing up here is people are seeing it. Investors are picking up on this exact idea here. You know what I mean? People
Yeah.
aren't, you know, going to school to spend so much time to then have an AI take their job, right, in like less than a year. It's not fair, right? Why and then you why do that when you could just go to trade school, learn, you know, some handy work, and then boom, you're making more money than somebody that's, you know, that could get their job taken by an AI, or you know, in that sort of aspect of anything that has to do with just an office desk or anything that, you know, just technology can take over with, right? You know, AI
Yeah.
can't do HVAC, right? So
Hmm.
this is 100% a really good safe investment, you know, for the long term, because it's something that, you know, we're not at the point in the future where this is going to be jeopardized yet. So I see a whole lot of upside, you know, and we're at a point in the chart where it seems like we're holding the point 0.5 fib level within the FEG on the higher time frame. So this could
Hmm.
be a very nice sweet spot off of this expanded wedge that we have to just go tag 36, 38, and 40, and hopefully have a breakout to new highs and probably tag those 45 50s. But yeah, very, very good stock long term. I do like the idea of Elite. You know, nice idea, nice lows. Yeah, you guys are 100% on point with that.
Yeah,
Well,
I think it's definitely one of those. Oh, go ahead, Perunga.
well, to your point of yet with AI, I mean, like robotics, we just talked about AI. There's an eventuality or potential reality, and Hannah mentioned it, like where that could be gone, of course. But you know, that's a long time probably. But we'll see.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
Because it might not be jeopardized right now. You know, obviously, we're not at that point of advancement yet, right? But for right now, this is definitely one of those stocks where you can definitely squeeze out the juice that's left in it. You know, because this is we're early to it. Obviously, you can see that still a lot more upside room, and there has been people that have been, you know, realizing this now. But as we
Hmm.
get into that whole world of AI, this is going to be, you know, like gold for the moment. You know what I mean? And then once they figure that out, then it's going to be a moment, you know, later on that you have to figure out how to adjust out. But at that point, you're going to be in deep profits, great entry, all that good stuff. But yeah,
Yeah,
100%.
I look at it as more of, like, even if, let's say even like within a year that some company, maybe it's RR or Symbotic, whatever, has a robot, or Tesla announced a robot or whatever that could do your plumbing for you, or whatever the case is. Like, I still think that with trades like that, where it's electricians, where it's plumbing, where it's HVAC, I think a lot of the consumer is going to be very hesitant at the beginning to even let them take over that part for it. So
Mm-hmm.
even if they come out even like next year and say, "Hey, we have this new robot that can do all these different things for you," I just I just look at it in terms of saying, I wouldn't trust it. I would have to. I'm someone who, with AI especially, I need to see the data. I need to see how successful it's been. How good has this robot been in terms of fixing plumbing issues or doing this? I would need to see concrete evidence before I want to trust any kind of, robot to come in and to fix my plumbing, my HVAC, my this. Because imagine it comes in and it wants to fix it and then it just makes it worse, then you got to pay twice as much for it to get it fixed by someone who's actually been doing it for many, many years, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's, even if it was to come out relatively soon in the near term, and I'm not talking like next month, maybe the next couple of years, they started having this be, kind of pushed out. I still think the consumer is going to be very, very hesitant to want to trust a robot over someone who's been doing it for 20, 30 years, who's gone through
Mm-hmm.
school and read so many books and done so many different things. I think maybe, 5, 10, 15 years, yeah, sure. But, like you're saying, short term still, relatively short term, in the next, 3, 5 years, I don't see it taking over this kind of job field just yet. I'm looking
Right.
again at my fib levels. I'm looking at it right now. We're looking around like the $26 mark right now. You can buy some actually deep in the money calls right now on UTI for April 2026. You could buy a 1750 call option for $1,000 for $10 basically
Cheap.
per share, which puts your break even at 2750. It's already almost at 27. So any kind of move after that 2750 is pure profit between now and next, April. And my levels and my fib levels, I'm looking at, if it breaks through 2761 on my levels, I'm looking at it run up to about $30, $31 or so. That's how I'm kind of
Right.
seeing my nice little like run right now. And analysts are looking at it being super undervalued right now. I know the analysts are talking about it being as in the low point. The low point for analysts right now is $36 a share. Like that's the low point. Their average is 37.60 and their high is $40 a share. So there's analysts that are saying that this is undervalued. They're going to keep making, campuses, they're going to keep enrollment going, and they're just like a college, right? You don't see colleges going out of business. Why? Well, they jack up tuition rates, they put in different fees to it. Like they are just like any other college. It's trade school, but still is a college that is there to make money. So they can find it a ways to make money. They could jack up tuition 5% if they wanted to, whatever the case is. They have the power to control the pricing at their trade school. And that's why it's one of those things where it's like, I wish I could invest into more colleges because colleges don't go anywhere. They
Mm-hmm.
just jack up tuition higher and higher and higher. I look at my tuition when I was in college, and look at my tuition nowadays in the same college. It's like $10,000 more. Like they're
Yeah.
just gonna keep making more money from it. Like, and I walk back on campus, it's like brand new facility here, brand new library here, brand new lab here. Like these guys just know how to make money, and that's why I think they're basically investing in a college stock, but with the trade school mentality where the jobs won't go anywhere. That's how I'm really looking at this kind of company right now. So I really
Mm-hmm.
like it. I'm not gonna lie, I'm really
I like
excited
that.
for it.
I like that. Completely agree. That's a definitely high quality stock right there to keep on your radar, guys. 100%. All right, I'm gonna put that in my watch list for sure.
Yeah, and again, you could buy, a cheap option. You could buy a cheap in the money option for $1,000 till April of next year, and I don't see this kind of company really being, hit as I don't know how it would react to if we were to go into recessionary period, which was, kind of segues to the next part of our jobs data here. But the idea behind it is that I don't know how it would do in a recessionary period. I'm not really sure. I don't know how it will do. I don't see it really being impacted. People are starting to go to trade school. Like you can't just you're not going to just not do anything after high school. I feel like I don't know if you guys have a thought on that, but I don't know where it would go in a recessionary period.
We won't know till we're deep in it.
All right. All good then.
Exactly.
So, but yeah, so I mean, moving on to this idea of labor markets. I know we had some data last week trying to make. I know you were talking about the data before we started, right? So,
Yep,
what did you
definitely.
what did you see?
We were talking about how PCE and most of this data was coming in in line or doing good. It was coming in all right. You know what I mean? I guess it was just consumer sentiment was everything. It was against everything. And at the end of the day, if the consumer isn't lining up with what we're seeing in the data, then obviously money isn't going to be made in the right direction. All right. Market's going to feel indecisive. Investors are going to feel shaky, and things aren't going to look too good, right? So people are going to start pulling out. So that's just a sentiment, right? That what we saw, right, on Friday. That's why the market had a nice little big dip. A lot of the data that we were getting from the University of Michigan wasn't good. So moving forward into September with a jam-packed filled week of data. We got PMI on Tuesday, right? We got job openings on Wednesday. We got initial jobless claims on Thursday and PMI as well. It's gonna be a lot of things that we're gonna see consumer credit on Monday next week too, September 8th. It's just gonna be a lot of things that we have to keep an eye out for. And like I said, if you want to invest in this market, it's just about really being able to be aware of where things are heading. Don't blindly invest and be a cautious trader for sure. Because I'm practicing my caution 1,000%, more cautious than ever, to be honest. I don't know what you guys think about that. What do you think about that, Fridge?
I
Dude,
agree.
yeah, go ahead, Fish.
I'm sorry. I thought he said fish. I'm sorry.
No. I talked for the last 5 minutes about UTI, dude. And that's a weird ticker symbol still. So you go ahead, man. Take over.
Dude, I love it. No, man. I think it's extremely wise to be cautious. Right now we just have no idea what's happening. Um, I I've been sitting a lot of cash, just waiting. I
Mm.
don't I don't know what's going to happen, but what I do know is I don't want to lose my money. You know what I mean? So we'll see. And hey, maybe it works out where I can find some deals later on, and I was smart, or maybe I wasn't, and I wasted good opportunities. Buying the all-time highs and watching it go up. But for right now, I'm being cautious.
Yeah, I think it's definitely one of those things. It's tough out here because like we're still getting close to those. We're still pushing all-time highs or getting relatively close to those all-time highs still. And we have I know that margin debt's at like the historical highest point we've ever seen for margin. So people are max leveraged out right now in the markets, and we have a labor market that's continuing to stumble. Every single data point comes out just shows the labor market starting to show some cracks in it. Now we have Jerome Powell starting to talk about rate cuts September and really focusing on that because now I think the Fed in general is now starting to focus more, like they're starting to show they care more about the labor market compared to getting inflation down to 2%. That's what it seems like right now. They're kind of picking and choosing a side almost in a way now where it's, do you fight inflation? Do you fight the labor market? And I think they see a lot more fear in the labor market, especially since they had those awful revisions from the last couple of months. They're like, oh crap, like this is a huge problem we're gonna be facing. So I think they're starting to kind of pick and choose that, hey, rate cuts in September. Well, what's that gonna do? Will it push inflation higher? Probably will push it a little bit higher still. But what is it going to do? The hope for the rate cut is to stimulate that economy, to try to get it to rebound, to try to get companies to borrow cheaper. They borrow cheaper, they can then expand or try to expand more, try to get people hired back into the labor force, try to boost up the labor force first before doing anything else. That's where I feel like the mindset is of the Fed right now. Obviously, I don't work for the Fed, I have no idea, but I think that's kind of what the battle is they're picking right now. And it's also interesting because as you look at historical data, September historically is always a bad month. That's just how it's
Mhm.
been over the years. It's always been a bad month. It averages a negative return over the last, however many years, like 100 years or so at least. It's now it's just like, okay, we're going to start September off. Are we going to have a good month September? We're going to be following historically bad months of September. We have rate cuts coming in September potentially. I'm the same with you. I don't know what we are to do in this case right now. I'm not really quite sure as to how we're going to be looking at this because I think Jerome Powell is going to be trying to stimulate the economy in terms of trying to get the labor market back or try to soften the landing still. That's why he was like rate cut. And the minute he was talking about looking at rate cuts, that's why I got that 1.5% market move on that Friday. Like it was unbelievable. But the rate cut news is not bullish at all, and I think still people think that, and it's not. It's a sign of like we're going down. Like we're gonna have some, like there's some fear now because Jerome Powell is flipping his mentality now. He went from wait to see what happens, wait to see what happens. Our data's somewhat okay. Now he's like, oh crap, flip the switch. We maybe gotta have a rate cut here because we're starting to get the labor market turning bad. So it's not bullish at all to have a rate cut. I don't know why people seem to always think that, and it's a mindset that we always have to think that a rate cut is bullish for the market. It's not. Rate cuts are not good for the market in terms of if we had these rate cuts that were happening without the tariff things, different situation. But these rate cuts now could have happened many months ago. Now they're starting to happen now because we had to wait it out even longer because of tariffs and inflation pressures and stuff like that. So I don't see this as a bullish move. It's good because it lets us borrow money cheaper, but I'm cautious like you are, Fish. I don't know where we're going September. I don't know October. I can't figure this out right now for the life of me. I don't know.
Right. Like, it's just difficult, man.
Yeah, Perunga, any kind of thoughts on that one?
What a couple of things. The rate cut thing, I think partly people think it's bullish because people move on from like keeping their money in the bank and then go to like stock riskier assets. I think is part of what happens.
Mm-hmm.
So we can get more money in the stock market potentially. But with the jobs data, what I was thinking about is do we like what goes into jobs data? Like is an influencer in jobs data? Is a person who trades for themselves in jobs data?
Mm-hmm.
Is it? I'm asking. Because I have no idea.
Okay, I thought there was some like point you wanted to make after
Well, there
that.
is a point
I thought
after
you
you
were
answer that. There is a point after you answer that, but I
sorry.
don't
So
know the answer.
ask your question again.
Well, like, is like an influencer or like I'm just trade for myself. Like, am I included in jobs data?
My
No.
guess, and I could be wrong, but my guess, kind of what Hannah was just said in the chat, I think you would have to be some sort of
A
LLC,
business. Okay.
self-employed business, because then you got to file taxes. Because honestly, like I could quit my job tomorrow, which I would love to do, by the way. I could quit my job tomorrow
Oh man.
and just be like, oh, I'm a self-proclaimed trader, but if I'm not in an LLC, like yeah, just because I say it doesn't mean anything. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like I would have to like start paying taxes, start having filings, like those kind of things. And once those kind of reports come out, in terms of like once that paperwork is filed, then you're saying, okay, I'm an LLC, I'm my own business, I'm self-employed. Because like for example, another thing would be like if I was a YouTube, like if I monetize my YouTube channel, right? If I
Yes.
monetize Fridge Financials, um, Fridge students, yeah, could you imagine, Rock? That'd be crazy. If my students are here, absolutely not. But gotta be 18 plus to get in here. Absolutely not. But on a serious note, like if I wanted to monetize my YouTube channel, like YouTube would send me tax documents, right?
Right.
And I would fill my tax paperwork and whatever as a self-employed, business person. Now I'm self-employed for myself part time. That would then show up probably in some labor market in some jobs date in the future, because now I'm self-employed. I'm claiming taxes. I'm claiming this. I'm doing tax write-offs. Like those kind of things would make it different.
Well, I mean, yeah. So I guess the point I'm asking with that is like,
Right.
is it that the labor market is changing? Also, like we have to think about, is there like after COVID, less people wanted to get a regular job? Like, is it that
Right.
the labor market is also changing? So labor numbers look poor, but is it also that it's changing?
It's a very good question, honestly. In terms of like what you're thinking about here, I don't know. Do you guys have any? Oh, while I gather my thoughts, Fish or trying to make it, you guys have any thoughts? I try to gather my logic to this because I gotta think about it for a minute.
So my thoughts on the labor market are quite strange. Yes, I do believe the labor market has changed. No, it's not what it was. I definitely believe that COVID changed it. COVID changed a lot of things, but another thing that it did was it showed people, hey, you know what? I'm not going to go work for that boss that I hate. I'm going to figure a different way out to do this. Um, and so a lot of people then went into like the gig economy, right? That was pretty big. We had people go into a lot of DoorDash and Uber and stuff like that. Dog walkers, stuff like that. So there's a lot of freelance out there, and we don't know. Um, we don't know if all of these people that are freelancing are paying taxes. You know,
Mhm.
I mean, I'll use the restaurant business as an example. Quite often, waiters and waitresses and bartenders don't report cash tips. You know, I was in that business for quite some time. Not saying that I ever did that, of course, but it's quite common. And so I mean, there are ways to skirt the government, and so yeah, the labor market has changed. Sorry, that went off on a little bit of a tangent, but I think
No,
I
yeah,
understand.
you're
Mhm.
good. No, it's just exactly your point. Like for me, I had a regular office job and I didn't enjoy it. It never did. And knew I never wanted to have an office job. And then definitely after COVID, when I was going to either be furloughed or not and decided to quit, like I
Yeah.
was happy I did.
Mhm.
Mhm. I think it's one of those things where, I mean, yes, the labor market is definitely changing. I think the hard thing is about the whole labor market in general is that like it's the data that we're provided is the best estimate of the labor market we can get.
Mhm.
I don't have my own, private independent company that can go out and survey the labor market left, right, and center. And there's a lot of things where like you really would have to read into every report to see what's going on. One thing, for
Yeah.
example, that a lot of people are looking at now is continuing jobless claims, not initial.
Mhm.
Nobody cares about initial as much. They care, but the bigger thing is the continuing ones. How many people have been unemployed for weeks? Because if you get laid off and then you get rehired the next week after that, then yeah, you show up in the initial jobless claims data, then you get rehired next week. then okay, that means a lot of openings still. You were able to get another job really quick. But if you have people who are continuing to be unemployed for 10 weeks, 20 weeks, whatever, like that is the bigger picture saying not only are they getting laid off, but now they're having a hard time getting back into the labor force. And I think
Yeah.
what also sucks in general is that people are working multiple jobs just to make ends meet. You have to look
Hmm.
into those data points as well. It's saying, okay,
Yeah.
well, if our hiring numbers are amazing, but what if it's a lot of people who are hiring is someone who already has a different job? Like now you have 2 jobs, now you have 3 jobs. Like we don't, like you have to really weed through a lot of the job data that comes in to really
Hmm.
see, okay, how many people are working multiple jobs? How many people are staying unemployed for many, many weeks? Rock just said that he did DoorDash and Uber Eats, and I pay taxes back on that one. Those could be side hustles for him. But again, it's like, oh wow, look, our labor market's doing great, but Rock could be working 3, 4 jobs. And we have to really weed through all those data points to really understand what's happening. People are working multiple jobs just to make ends meet to pay for these higher prices because of these tariffs potentially, right? Is
Hmm.
that what the case is? Are people getting multiple jobs for that reason? Are they getting multiple jobs because, they are in a lot of debt? There's a
Yeah.
lot of things to really consider with the labor market. And that's, I think, what really sucks is that we just have to read into the data ourselves more and then develop
Hmm.
our own, you know, opinion based off of what we see. You know what I mean?
So
I know there was the big thing that we are talking about is that a lot of people that were hired in like June or July was more of nurses and educators and that kind of stuff. But you take away all those people and a lot of people that were hired, and there was like not a lot of people that were hired outside of those kind of jobs. So like looking
mhm.
into that is very, very crucial. Trying to make it. What do you got to say about that? I know you got some
I
ideas.
just no 100%. Just being no like having the data in front of me and just looking over it real quick, nice little glance over it. We're being able to see that like a lot of data has cooled down just a little bit. It's just being able to maintain or progress further from it. Job growth is slowing. We're adding only 70K jobs a month, which is pretty bad, down a lot from the post-COVID boom. Like you guys were mentioning it. Unemployment edging down 4.2%. That could drift towards 4.5, 4.6, in the next year if we don't like
Mm,
really get onto it. Layoffs aren't spiking as much. Companies they're hiring less, they're not firing too aggressively. Wages are cooling. Pay growth is down to about 4%, which helps inflation, but it's still above pre-COVID norms. You know, openings are like the quittings and openings that you were talking about. That's really what it is. Like people are getting into a job, they're quitting, and then they're coming right back. That isn't really applying to the data as accurately as it should be. So it's like certain numbers couldn't are being adjusted as we go, and that's also an
right.
issue. You know, but
Mm,
it's just the outlook going into like further the next year, the next 2 years. What does Powell say every time he comes up, right? He's like, oh, there's going to be a soft landing, things are going to be okay, right? Like it's just that same narrative that he keeps portraying, but it's just a matter of, is it going to be a soft landing, right? Are we going to have a soft landing, right? Are we closer to that
mm,
soft landing now than we were before, right? So yeah, just a lot of questions in that aspect, because we had cuts last year, a lot of cuts actually, like 2 or 3, right? If I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong. But those
yeah.
cuts put into play, the bonds never really moved. You know what I mean? We're still going up with those bonds. 10-year yield bonds are going up continuously. So it's like how many cuts are going to be needed until that starts to to get affected as well, and we start to come back down to the calmer levels, right?
Right. Yeah.
So yeah,
And
yeah. Gio mentioned in the chat, he was like, short-term bonds are going to be a good investment, and I completely do agree with that as well.
mhm. And it's one of those things where one of the major things that I've referenced like many, many times. I feel at this point I keep watching it now is the beverage curve. The beverage curve focuses on job openings versus unemployment rate. And so
Hmm.
if you take a look, if you can just Google like BLS beverage curve and see what it looks like here, we're at a point now where the problem is that the beverage curve itself is at this point where you historically shouldn't be. The beverage curve usually says that if the unemployment rate is low, job openings are high. If unemployment is high, job openings are low. They inverse each other very much, like relatively, like historical data always shows that. Right now, the point that we are sitting at is unemployment is low, but so is the job openings like you're talking about. And the thing that people and a lot of economists are saying the same thing at some point we need to retrace back to this beverage curve. It's only going to
Mm-hmm.
go one of two ways. Either
Oh, sure.
job openings goes higher and it kind of levels out that way, or unemployment takes off. One of those two is going to happen at some point. Where is the labor market going to go as a result of it? If we can create a lot of job openings, sure, that's going to be great for our economy. But the problem
Mm-hmm.
is, again, is that now we're fighting this AI takeover of jobs. So less
Yeah.
likely, the problem that we're going to have is that it's going to be much harder to open up jobs. And what's going to be the more likely situation? Higher unemployment rate. And that's where the problem is going to be. Somehow we have to find this way to balance out the beverage curve somehow. And I think it's going to be a fight to the end to see what's going to happen. I think that's why Jerome Powell is saying about maybe the rate cut might push, the openings a little bit more, try to kind of level out that beverage curve a little bit. It's very, very tough to see what's going to be happening right now.
Mm-hmm. Yep. 100%. But that beverage curve stuff, very, very interesting stuff right there. I just kind of looked up into the data right now, got a little bit of a
Mhm.
summary of it. Man, wow.
If you
10,000%.
want
And
to,
then it's something
if
that
you
people
want
need
to,
to take into
I would
account.
say if you want to pull it up, because I don't know if everybody's even seen this. Do you have it on your screen? Can you pull it up?
Let me see if I can throw that up here for you
Can you throw
guys
it up
real
really
quick.
quick? Because
Yes,
I don't
sir.
know if you guys have really seen much about it, but like this curve here is actually very, very important in terms of like showing you what it actually can do. And this is kind of where people have always talked about with Jerome Powell, and the problem has always been, is saying this thing has to follow this path somehow, some way. And there's only two ways you could do it. And that's going to be the huge problem that we're going to be facing. And so if you're not familiar with the beverage curve, I haven't learned much about it until earlier this year, and now I'm looking every month to see what the data looks like, and we're sitting in limbo right now, and that's the problem that we're facing.
Let's see if I got it up here. There we go. Look at this right here.
Yeah. So if you take a look here, so like that's historically what the curve usually does, right? Usually you see that kind of like track where it's if you have lower unemployment, you have higher job openings. If you have higher unemployment, you have lower job openings. Right
Uh-huh.
now, as of like June or July, maybe I don't know if July data points already out there or not, but if you look into it, we're sitting right now where it's low in both categories. The openings are low, and the unemployment is relatively low compared to what we're usually at. It
Yeah.
has to move somehow. It's either going to
Mm-hmm.
move to higher unemployment to balance, or it's going to move to higher openings to balance. And
So yeah, we're really
chances
in a
are,
breaking point. It's like a breaking point.
yeah, somehow it's almost like think about the Fibonacci retracement. We retrace back to this somehow. We're going to retrace back to this curve in some way, shape, or form. How do we get back to this curve? Two ways: higher unemployment, more job openings. One of those two has to happen. And what's more likely going to happen? Layoffs, higher unemployment, and it levels out the beverage curve. That's
Wow.
the fear people have right now.
Okay. 100%. Damn. Thank you very much,
So
Fridge.
yeah, so I don't know if Perunga or Fish. I don't know if you guys have ever seen this beverage curve or not, but it's really, really fascinating to take a look at for employment data. I feel like.
I've seen it and I do not understand it.
Dude, come
So
on, man. You don't get it? Come on. It's so obvious, Fish. There's a bunch of dots
so
forming a
so
pattern.
so all those dots are basically all the months data from like as early as like 2000. There's a bunch of dots all over the place, and they do it by like years or whatever the case is. Usually, it follows an inverse pattern. If you have higher unemployment rates, that means there's less job openings, right? Makes sense. I would hope. Kind of Fish. I
yeah.
don't know if that makes sense, right? Like higher unemployment, lower openings, and vice versa. If you have lower unemployment rate, you have a lot more openings, so people are not unemployed for long periods of time, right? Right now, where we're sitting at is we're sitting at a lower unemployment rate, but usually the lower unemployment rate means higher openings, a higher amount of openings. But right now we don't have that because of AI. AI is taking over
Yeah.
jobs. There's a lot less people being hired. So we're sitting at this point of like, what the hell do we do? We're at low unemployment, but low openings. And historical data shows that we always will retrace back to this curve somehow. The only way to do it is we get more openings to keep unemployment rate low, or we have low openings and we push unemployment higher to level it out. That's the two options we're looking at here in terms of the market for labor. Does that? I don't know if that kind of helped a little bit or not.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Okay. So the more likelihood of this happening is that more likely is it going to be easier to create more job openings, or is it easier to lay people off and push unemployment higher? Historically speaking, what's easier? Higher unemployment. That's usually the
Yeah.
easy way of what usually happens. People get laid off, the jobs don't get opened up, people start cutting positions. We see it with Microsoft. Microsoft's hiring has been flat. I know Meta, same thing. Intel is laying off their like 15% of their labor force. So we're already kind of starting to see the cracks of people not getting hired as frequently. So that's going to push the value out to level out to the beverage curve, historically speaking. But that's going to be the problem is that if unemployment goes to say 6%, 7%, that's going to be a huge problem for our economy. So that's kind of what the fear is right now in the markets for labor is that how do we fix the beverage curve? And AI makes it very hard for us to do it right now, in my opinion.
Wow. That is fire. And that's a domino effect. That goes into consumer as well. If people aren't getting hired, people aren't making money, people won't be buying nothing. Boom. Domino effect.
Right.
Snowball effect.
Yeah,
Exactly.
exactly.
Wow.
Barunga, does that make sense? You said it's a bunch of dots. Come on now. Like, does that make sense? Does that,
I was
does that
just
help
I
a
was
little
just
bit?
joking around. I was joking.
I know.
I had to
I
look at
know.
it closer, but yeah, I hear what you're saying. I don't know. I just feel like the data is different. How we should gather the data for this has changed. That's my opinion.
100%. 100%.
Because
I
I
would
would show up
love to
as
see that.
unemployed. I would show up unemployed on here.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the funny part. Yeah. That's funny.
And
Me
same
too.
with you, Trina, and I don't know about
Yeah,
you,
me too.
Fish. Yeah.
I would
So
show up. I would show up as unemployed.
yeah, and
We
so it's
show up,
like
so it feels illegal.
yeah, and then I would say like DoorDash and Uber, if they give you 1099s, then you could show up as unemployed too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
So
because it's one of those things where it's like if you don't make enough money, then you don't file tax anyways, right? If you're making under a certain percentage of money anyways, then you don't have to.
true.
You don't. We not now that you don't have to file your taxes, but like you don't usually pay taxes if you make it under
Right.
a certain amount of money, right? So like, you basically are unemployed at that point because you're not even really, you can barely survive, obviously, on where we're at right now. But wait, are you telling me that I'm the only one that's like quote unquote employed right now? Is that what you're telling
In
me,
this
Brunga?
room, you are the well, in the room of stage, you are the only one employed here. Yes.
That's right.
I don't have a full year
Ma.
yet, but we'll see how much I've accumulated by the end of the year, and then maybe I might have to be forced to file taxes because I might have hit a curve. So obviously things will probably be
I
Boy.
mean,
different. And obviously I'm gonna probably be, I think contractor, what's it called? Fuck, contractor W3s or some shit like that, whatever that is. Because Top Step gives you your own little thing that you have to file out, but it's like if you're, your own boss, I guess. It's kind of like DoorDash, the ones that the DoorDash
yeah.
people
Yeah.
file, I think. Yeah, but
Yeah.
then
So
Karunga said with that you still come up as unemployed though. So
That's
it's,
what
I
I'm
don't know, it's a
guessing.
lot of weird stuff. Yeah.
Because
right.
even if you got like a 1099, what non-employment income, NEC, I think, or non whatever it is that I don't know. I just don't know what includes employed or not. Like I file taxes, but I've probably been showing up as unemployed for 5 years now.
Yeah. I
Interesting.
mean, also the thing to take a look at, and people always talk about as well, is that when it comes around to the holiday season, you have a lot of seasonal hirings too,
True.
right?
True.
Like, so there's a lot of people who are hired at, certain, they're hired just for the holiday season, or, and I was thinking about this also now, because, trying to make it, I know you're like 19 or 20, right? Like you're young. Like I'm not that young, obviously, but
22.
like
Yeah.
Yeah, come
22.
on, Fridge.
But like, so, hey. All right, my bad. But what I was thinking of is that think about this though, right? Like if you're a college student, like is there data that factors into the college student life also? Because if you're at
Yeah, I
college
wonder
full
that.
time,
Or
then where does that show up in like unemployment? Because
That's fair.
it's one of those things. Rock makes a good
Mhm.
point as well. Don't have to keep showing proof we're looking for work. I know that's a huge thing of unemployment is to keep showing that you're applying for jobs and stuff like that. So I don't. Again, this is one of those things where it's
Well,
like unless you literally are the ones that help gather data, it's kind of a tough spot to be in. I feel like.
but is it
Right,
is
right,
it
right.
with what Rock's saying? Is it that you file as unemployed? Because I don't file as unemployed, um,
Right,
but
but
I
you
only
are
have
technically unemployed.
1099s. Yeah. Okay.
Right. Yeah. No, 100%. It's one of those things where we just don't know like who's doing what. I mean, there's and
Right.
also I think the problem that also sucks also nowadays is that we know the administration's cut back on people working for the IRS, right? If people come back working for the IRS, that just sets up more, I feel like, for teeing up for more people to kind of, do whatever
Fall
they
through the
can to
cracks.
try to, fall through the cracks. Oh, whoa. Oh, I forgot to do this. Oh, no one's going to audit me probably because, you know what I mean? So, like, is that also going to make a huge impact on our data and stuff like that? There's so many variables that, like, if we just don't know. And that's the thing where it's like, I like to try to look at those bigger picture data points where it's like, how's the continuing unemployment data looking? How's the continuing
Gotcha.
jobs claims looking? Because initial could mean nothing. I could quit my job tomorrow, go work at Wendy's on Friday. I
Right.
fall in the initial one, but that doesn't mean jack to me. But if I
Yeah.
quit teaching and then I stop teaching, for the whole year, then I'm going to be part of that continuing jobless data, which to me paints a better picture.
Mm-hmm.
Also,
Mm-hmm.
I know that the big problem also I think we faced was that, like, it was after the pandemic. The pandemic kind of throws the numbers off a little bit because, as we know, when the economy shut down, and it reopened, hirings were through the roof. So we can't really take a look at like that spike after COVID. You got to look pre-COVID levels and see where we're at relative to pre-COVID. So 2019, 2018, maybe, seeing where we're at comparing to pre-COVID, because post-COVID pushed it so much higher because there was so much hiring and so little amount of time to re-stimulate the economy, to reopen up, companies and businesses and stuff like that. But also taking a look, I had a thought, I just lost it. Oh, I hate my life right now. Oh, I just lost my thought. Somebody else fill in. I have a thought, and I don't know where it went. Somebody find it for me, please. Parunga, I don't know where it went. I just wanted to find
Sorry.
my thought. I don't know where it just went. I had such a
It happens,
good
dude.
point. Such a good point. I just lost it. I'm so annoyed.
Hey, Parunga,
Oh.
I got a question for you.
What's up?
This WLFI coin that's coming out. You know anything about it? It's supposed to be released tomorrow.
Never heard of this.
Yeah, it's the
WLFI.
WLFI, yeah, World Liberty Financial Institution, I guess. It's a Trump family
Okay.
backed coin that's coming out. It's supposed to come out tomorrow, and I don't know anything about it.
It's
Just wondered.
decentralized. It's decentralized finance governance token, right? Founded in 2024, heavily tied to the Trump family. Token grants holders rights to vote on platform decisions, fees, and ecosystem governance. There's also a stable coin called USD1. So it's just another like USDC kind of like piggyback. You feel me?
Okay,
I think this happened like around when he went into office. I can't remember, but I thought
it
it was
did.
I thought it was a public thing then, but it wasn't.
No, that was the company that they.
September
Got you.
1st.
Got you.
Yeah,
September 1st.
Because I do remember them talking about it, but I didn't know. Yeah, I didn't pay attention. But now they're out. Okay. Come out tomorrow. Labor Day.
yeah, tomorrow.
20% of pre-sale tokens become available at 8 a.m. Eastern Time via the audited WLFI lockbox smart contracts. A lot of smart crypto stuff I do not understand, but whoever's into that
Yeah,
seems like a good little thing. I
it's
mean,
DeFi stuff.
USDC, yeah, DeFi stuff. There we go. That's very, very extreme. I like it
You
though.
know what?
Yeah.
No, go ahead, dude. I got my thought, by the way. I found it. I
Oh
found
well.
it. I'll wait.
You go ahead. I don't want to. I don't want you to lose it again. Go ahead, dude.
So my thought was that if you guys remember, like back to labor market stuff, post pandemic, initial jobless claims, I feel like the data was also thrown off because what people were doing is they would quit to then find another place with higher pay. Then they would quit in like another year and then find, you know what I mean? Like they were always like trying to build the way up in that way. I think people are less inclined to do that nowadays. I'm not sure what the reason is to it, but I feel like people aren't quitting to try to use it as leverage as much as they were back after the pandemic time. I feel like that was my thought, but I don't know if you have any thoughts on that
I
one.
hear you
But
there.
That makes sense. Go ahead, Prunga.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. That's all I was gonna say.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
and then another thought I just had, talking about weird crypto coins that came out. There was something that I saw on my social media the other day, and I would love to know if you guys talking about this one. There's a crypto coin called WLD, World Coin.
WLD.
Never heard about
WorldCoin. Basically, what it is and I'm making sure I get this right here. Basically, what it is that they are a coin that uses, cryptos and stuff like that to then create basically what's called a universal profile of people who scan their eyes, and that's this huge technology thing. And so it creates this database of who you are and of everybody who's willing to use it. And it allows you to then use it basically for anywhere you go in the world. So instead of having a passport, you need this or whatever. Like I was like, that's actually kind of
That's Minority
maybe like
Report.
Two
maybe
things.
maybe like tinfoil hat kind of thing, but that's like, you know what? That's actually not
It's
a weird. That's a weird idea, but
that's
Two things.
literally
Number
Minority
one,
Report. You know the movie Minority Report? It's literally Minority, or it might be a book
oh
too. I
no,
yo,
don't know.
I haven't even seen that.
Oh yeah,
is
they
it
scan their eyes and shit. It's like a futuristic Tom Cruise movie. Came out, I don't remember, 2000 something like that.
Why does it sound familiar
Jesus?
now?
You've probably seen it, but
Yeah,
It's locked
literally,
in the
maybe.
memory.
yeah. And
Oh
they,
God.
it's like a government, like Big Brother stuff. I'm sure Fish might know about it, but
I know about it. I haven't seen it, but I know about it. Yeah, like
yeah,
I remember when it came out in the theaters.
Maybe.
Two interesting
Oh,
things
yeah.
about that. Two
it's like a
interesting things
government
about that.
database, and they scan
Guess who's the
eyeballs.
founder?
Who's the
Oh,
founder?
like think about that. And then they put all of those informations into the database. AI, Sam Altman. Come on, it makes sense. Boom. It's like a whole
Yeah.
puzzle, man. Sam Altman is the founder of WLD Coin, and that's the whole entire point of it. Sounds like a Black Mirror episode, man. And he's the one person to want to, bring that to light. Like your cool points,
Right.
brownie points of real life.
I don't know.
That's
I just thought this.
crazy.
I was like, just imagine that though. Like, imagine like you have like decentralized. Your identification is like it's only unique to you, so you could use it anywhere you want to go in the world. You could scan your eye or whatever, but like it's decentralized, so it's not like they can. I just thought I was like, that's really interesting to think about. Like, imagine that's where we're at. Like 10, 15 years down the road. Like it popped up on my feed, and I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting actually. So I just wanted to bring that up there because I thought it was a really cool
That's
thing. But
yeah.
Wow.
Also a little sketchy, but yeah.
and then yeah, go. Yeah, well, of course, of course, of course. Yeah, there's a lot of things that are going to be scheduled. Did you guys see that Elon Musk sued Apple earlier this week?
No,
Yeah.
Oh,
You guys didn't see
I
that?
Yeah.
did not know about
I
that.
didn't.
No, I did not know
Oh
about
yeah,
Fish
that
yeah.
did though.
actually.
He
Fish did.
yeah. Well, Fish. Well, because Fish knows all of it, dude. Fish is all over the markets. I feel like.
I mean, I don't know too much about the case. I just remember that it happened, and I'm pretty sure the judge was like, "No, like this is."
Yeah. So okay. So I did. So again, over my weekends, I record videos because that's the only time I can do this now. So I made a video about this as well. That'll be later on out. But I did a lot of research into this. So first of all, I didn't know this, but when OpenAI was first created back in 2015, Elon Musk and Sam Altman worked together on it. I don't know if you guys knew that or not, but I did not know that.
I did not know that.
Um,
Wow, that's actually
fun,
very
fact,
interesting.
fun fact number one. Okay, I learned a lot of things here. Fun fact number two. 2018, Elon Musk offered to basically take over full on ownership of OpenAI because he didn't like what was going on, and they said no. So what did he do? He left. Then he went to go do Tesla. He did more Tesla stuff and everything else, like obviously all that kind of stuff. So he is suing Apple, and well, not him, quote unquote, not him. XAI, which is a company through him, it's basically a shell company through him
Right.
still, is suing Apple because they partnered and they're using ChatGPT and OpenAI software as like their preferred, software in their MacBooks and their phones and stuff like that. And Elon is saying that's unfair because Grok is now going to be pushed down because it's now going to be preferred to do ChatGPT and da 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 and all this kind of jazz like that or whatever. And so he sued because ChatGPT is number one on the App Store, and like, why is that a coincidence that's number one on the App Store and Grok is like flipping like 20th or 30th or whatever it is? So he's like, he was like, I think he's just butthurt about the whole thing, and ChatGPT is like light years better than Grok in my opinion. I've used both. I think it's so much better, and I think he was just really, really mad about it, and he wanted to be a crybaby about it. So then he sued them. Apparently, Sam Altman then said, "But you use your own platform of Twitter to basically like make fun of and diminish other people who you don't like. So like, why are you like, who do you think you are, kind of thing? Like this whole like it's almost like a high school drama kind of thing, which is wild." Also, OpenAI is pissed at Elon because he offered them, quote unquote, offered them to buy OpenAI for $97 billion, and they thought that was a joke of a buy of an offer. Like that was like an insult of an offer because they're worth right now like estimated about $500 billion and as a private company right now. So OpenAI just hates Elon Musk right now, I'm pretty sure, with a passion. Elon hates OpenAI. And so Elon sued because it was making Grok look bad that they were using OpenAI and Apple phones more than the other one. Stupid stuff. It's like high school drama all over again.
And this affects shareholders. That's the worst part about it. And investors don't like that weird, unsteady kind of instability between stocks and people in power in these sort of companies. You know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
If I was a Tesla shareholder, I would just be like, can you stop and just focus on this company, please? Like
They
I
could
don't know
just
what you're doing.
chart.
Like bro, like stop lawsuiting people, stop suing people, get out of politics. Like we need you to stop. Whatever you're doing, stop doing it. Okay? Grok sucks. Hate to say it, Grok sucks compared to ChatGPT. It just does. I've tried to do pictures through Grok, and it looks like a 5-year-old drew them sometimes. Like it's not a good software. It comes out all wrong. I try to make my thumbnails through it. It's absolutely dog water. Like it sucks. ChatGPT is like light years ahead of it with their new software and stuff like that. So like he's just mad because the software sucks, in my opinion. That's just how I look at it. But that's just me. It's stupid, you know. And just like Tyler says, you know, it's about them promoting OpenAI. But what's funny is that like you look at like the App Store, like OpenAI, ChatGPT is number one. But if and I said this in my video, which is hysterical, also, is that if I go into my classroom this week and I put a poll on my board and I say, have you heard of ChatGPT? Have you heard of Grok? I can promise you with utmost certainty, at least 75% of my students know ChatGPT and not Grok. Almost
Yeah,
guaranteed.
yeah, 100%.
The younger generation knows ChatGPT. They don't know Grok as much as they know ChatGPT. So when the App Store puts it as number one, you have a younger audience who's probably downloading that app more than Grok, in my opinion. And you know, and you take a look at like the software. Like I looked at the app rankings on the Apple Store. ChatGPT is number one. Google Gemini is like 20th, and then Grok and Twitter are down like I think Grok is like 50th. So like Google Gemini is 22nd. And here's what I think is stupid. Google Gemini, you don't need the app to download to use it. You go into the Google search the Google search browser and you can find it. No problem. And you can use it right there on the platform. And it still has a lot more downloads than Grok. So I don't know. I just I just don't understand. McLaren says I would reframe the question: which AI do you use to do your homework the most? Yeah, good call. I should do it that way too.
And they'll definitely.
But
That's funny because you're 100% right on that, bro. I thought about it, and I was like, my sister, she's a part of this new generation. She does not know what the fuck a grok is. Like, what the fuck is a grok?
that's funny,
ChatGPT, is that what you're trying to talk about? Oh yeah, I know that. That's
right?
mad funny, man.
You walk in, and like I've told you, like I'm like stop using ChatGPT, and they're like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? I'm not using it. If I say stop using Grok, they'll be like, what are you talking about?
Yo,
Like
they'll really be
like
like, "What are
it's
you talking about?" Like for real, for real. Not even trying to like be slick or nothing. They're actually gonna question you.
also, I would be curious to know because Grok is usually more integrated into X. I don't know how many of my students actually use X. Like it's Snapchat and it's TikTok and Instagram. I don't really know how much of them you actually use X nowadays. I don't know.
Yeah, no.
I don't know what the deal is.
After the whole switch, I think Twitter kind of died for the old generation. You know, and we
Yeah,
kind of carried it on. We carried X on, but then the new generation they just stuck to TikTok and Instagram, and that was just it. You know, Snapchat died out too for the new generation. I think I don't know if they still use it, to be honest with you. I'm actually not even in tune anymore. But from
yeah,
the most part, what I do know is that you know X seems like a pretty adult dominated area.
yeah. I like Elon needs to just like move on, dude. Like whatever your lawsuit, like I don't know what your lawsuit you were thinking was going to go on with that one, but like you can't prove that all of a sudden ChatGPT. I bet ChatGPT's been number one for the longest time. I found it like 2 years ago, and I was like, this thing is going to be huge, and I knew it.
Hmm.
And I was telling my teachers about it. They're like, "What are you talking about?" I was like, "Watch, give me a prompt, give me a homework assignment that you want to do. Watch what I could do in 5 seconds." And I showed them, and they were just like, "That's unbelievable." I'm like, "This technology, this software is going to be huge for everybody.
It's not like Mathway, man. Mathway started the pavement of that, and then from there we went to ChatGPT. I'm telling you
Yeah.
guys because I know I did not do my homework.
That's
Yeah.
funny.
So, and then also like I know like the Grok was under fire for like saying some like really like I don't even know what it
Mhm.
was. It was like some very inappropriate
Not
things for their
it was
response, I
Nazis.
believe.
It was Nazi rhetoric.
Right. Like, dude, what? Like, I don't think ChatGPT is going to be doing that. Maybe, I mean, maybe, but like, you got to feed it. But even then, like, I doubt it.
You
So,
won't catch it doing that. I'm not gonna lie. You won't catch it doing that. It automatically puts a stop on it. It says, "Hey, no hate crime or no hate messaging or anything like that." Yeah,
are
it's
you telling me?
pretty.
Are you telling me that you've tried to do it? Is that what I'm hearing
No,
here? You
no,
tried,
no, no,
you
no.
tried, you tried pushing it, trying to see what it would do.
No, like I said, X is a very adult-dominated area. You're gonna bump into some funny posts. People try funny things. I'll let them experiment, and I'll be the viewer. But
Hmm.
yeah, people, yeah, 9 times out of 10 they try that out. But yeah, no, OpenAI, they're a lot more smarter than that. They know not to
Yeah,
fall in that trap. But yeah, Grok, so many slip-ups. Like I feel like Elon, like I don't know, man, the passion isn't there anymore. The same as it was before.
yeah. But that's why like OpenAI is valued at $500 billion right now, and Twitter is valued at like maybe like I think he bought it for like 50 billion or whatever it was. Like not even like it's not it's they're not in the same realm. They're not.
Yeah, no.
Like they just aren't. So that's what that lawsuit's about. So you ever see anything about it? Like that's that dumb lawsuit. It's like a high school drama. I feel like where it's like they're fighting over who knows what. I don't know. It's the dumbest thing ever. I couldn't believe it.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. So but rather than that, I mean, so Purunga, anything that's on your mind here? I know we've kind of been going on like different tangents here. Anything that's on your mind, like stocks you're watching, trades, anything that's kind of tickling your fancy, so to speak, in a non-weird way.
Um,
Don't make it weird.
I have to look around for trade ideas, but I mean, I know I bought some, I think it's SRFM, along with ACHR, like Fish was talking about, not too long ago.
I need you to elaborate on the first ticker.
Sorry,
What
yes,
is
I
that?
think it's SRFM. It's like Surf Air Mobility. It's like I guess
Oh, actually looked over that one before. How's it
Palantir.
going so far?
It's doing all right. I think it's doing okay.
Sorry.
It's I don't know much
Um,
about it. I think it's like autonomous planes. And Palantir has an investment in them. So I don't know.
mm,
We'll see.
Interesting.
But
Might be really early, you know what I mean? That's good stuff right there. Double bottom on the weekly
yeah,
chart. We're just consolidating huge base. It takes time for these kind of things to play out, but eventually when you're early to the party, you're the first one that gets to eat, right?
yeah, and I yeah, and this is lower than
Would
what I
this
bought it at, but which
would
is
this
good.
be one of those defense plays you're talking about then? So basically, kind of in this defense sector, kind of like Palantir, obviously is right now with government contracts and all that.
I don't know if it's just government because I don't know if it's also commercial planes. I don't know for sure. I have to look a
Okay.
little closer. I just it was only a small investment for me. It was like, well, buy a few
Yeah.
shares and let it sit.
Right. Well, because I
I'm
know
out of
like people
money.
talk about like the next like people say that Big Bear AI, for example, is the smaller version of Palantir, right? Like people have been saying
Oh,
that for a long time as like the smaller version, like it's the next quote unquote Palantir. Which again, like I mean, their earnings were a disaster. Like I think it was like a couple weeks ago, so I don't know how true that is. But
yeah.
like it's another like one of those like people are looking for the next Palantir. This could be the next maybe alternate Palantir. Maybe it's this one, maybe it's Big Bear AI. Who really quite knows? But I think it's kind of the thing that's going to make it like tough just in general is that you're looking for the next Palantir, but then it's just like you got to be able to back it up because why not just invest more into Palantir compared to investing in this kind of company here, right? So definitely one of those like speculative plays maybe per se, wouldn't you say, Purunga, on that one?
Oh yeah, this is I invested an amount of money that if this went to zero, it would be okay. But
Okay,
Yeah, it's
love
but
that.
testing it out.
but it's like, hey, you know what? Throw it out there and see what happens. And
See
if
what
it,
sticks. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, and I'm in no rush to. It's I don't have to sell it, so I'll sit and wait.
Right. I know the other big ticker, and this one, I wonder if Fish knows about this one as well. IREN is the new hot ticker right now.
Oh,
I
I've heard about
I
that.
R
Yeah.
E N, which is a energy company. But believe it or not, what they do is they have a lot. They used to be just straight up Bitcoin mining,
Gotcha.
and now what they're doing is they're taking apparently their revenues and using it to buy data centers and invest into artificial intelligence, stuff like that. And that's why this thing has had a huge rally, because they're taking their revenues from their Bitcoin mining and probably using it to then grow their companies. People are comparing it to CoreWeave, but the financials from this company are a lot better compared to CoreWeave when you take a look at the financials for it. So, Fish, you ever heard of this one? Iron, have you heard of it by any chance?
Yeah, I've heard of it. I know some people have been trading it lately.
Yeah.
It's not one that I've gotten into, and I don't know much about them except for what you've just mentioned.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know that they got out of being just a Bitcoin miner. You know,
Yeah,
like
they still are doing the Bitcoin mining for sure. I think what they're doing though is they're taking that profit they're making from like the Bitcoin they're able to generate and then using it to then build into AI, because why not just hop on the AI train, use it for infrastructure, use it for data centers, use it for all those different things there. So why not hop on the AI train? I think that's probably what's caused this huge rally also behind Bitcoin rallying for prices before recently, obviously, and now also going to the AI feed. I think it's kind of like got this big market rally, I feel like, for it.
I mean, you're probably right. I mean, AI is AI and energy. Those are the two biggies right now. And
Mhm.
so if these guys are Bitcoin mining and getting into that AI space with in energy space as well.
Mhm.
I mean, dude, you put your fingers in so many different pots. You're 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 bound to find one that's just right.
Got a lot of
Right.
flavors. Yep, yep. It's got a lot of it's like I said, you want to find a stock that has the deep roots. You pull this out the ground, it's gonna have roots. You can't pull it out the ground because it's so rooted deeply into all these different things that it's involved in. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And the more harder and rooted into the ground the stock is, the harder it is to like get it out. You know what I mean? And for it to fail. So it's going to be good if they continue expanding in those aspects. And Bitcoin is never going to be a bad thing to invest in overall. Energy, all those things that you guys mentioned.
Mhm.
100%. No, that's fire, bro. For real.
And I believe also these guys recently bought a bunch of NVIDIA GPUs to
Oh wow,
do
you see,
all this.
they
I
just want to be
believe.
into everything, a little bit of everything.
I'm
Man.
pretty sure that came like, I don't know if that was like part of their earnings or it was announced beforehand or something like that, but I believe they bought quite a bit of NVIDIA GPUs to like do like the mining and to do the artificial and all that kind of like interesting stuff there. So, always good for NVIDIA, of course, as we know. And NVIDIA earnings, guys, I don't know what you guys think about it. Like they had beats, I think, almost across the board, but still came down after hours. I don't know. Do you guys have any thoughts on NVIDIA earnings from last week? That was a big one.
Yeah, I want to know what you guys think on the aspect of the economy, not the economy, the data of the stock and all of the outlook and everything. Get that out the way because chart wise, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I have a whole, I got a whole thing to talk about. So let me know what you guys think about that in terms of like how they did revenue, all that good stuff.
All right,
I
so
mean, yeah, go ahead, Fish. You got it.
I'll just be quick. I'm not going to speak to revenue and sales and yada yada and all that, except for one small portion. One small portion of something I read today, which was really intriguing, was that NVIDIA said customer A purchased X percentage of our total sales, and customer B purchased B percentage of our customer sales, total sales, right? And it made up a total of 39%. So that means there are two customers of NVIDIA that are purchasing a total of 39% of their sales. So that's kind of scary to me, right? Because what happens if these two customers decide we're not going to buy from NVIDIA anymore? We don't need that,
Mm-hmm.
right?
That's a
That
big
means
portion
that
right there.
their sales automatically drop 40, almost 40%. Now as far as their earnings are concerned, it was classic Nvidia earnings. Classic Nvidia
Mm.
earnings, man. You
Yeah.
know, beat, no problem. Sales are good, guidance is good, and the street still wants more.
Always
So,
do.
They're always hungry, man. They're thirsty.
yeah,
I
exactly. So that's my two
I
cents on it.
I saw a really interesting article over the weekend about NVIDIA, and this is something that's actually really interesting to me. Their automotive segment, believe it or not, like because a lot of these car dealerships and all these car makers are buying, their software and their GPUs and stuff like that. Their automotive segment hit $586 million in its 2026 uh, earnings report. Like in terms of like they're like what they're looking at in terms of like for the automotive from last year this year. It's
The
up over
forecast.
69. It's up over the four. Well, no, so not the forecast. They have it listed as it's the 2026 second quarter fiscal for automotive. I don't know if that's a typo. That's what it says on here, but maybe it's a typo. I feel like it's in the future. But
Please go ahead.
69% jump year over year in automotive segment. That's insane. That's
Absolutely.
absolutely wild. And I think more and more car makers are putting in more of those autonomous, softwares and stuff like that. Tesla, as we know, already does it and stuff like that. But like, it's a slept on section. I think a lot of people like. I didn't even think about how good their automotive segment was, and like that's an insane amount of money they're bringing in just on their automotive section by itself from their software. Stuff like that. They're working with Toyota. They work with Tesla. They're working with Mercedes, Volvo. They're working with BYD. Like they're working with all these different companies that are using those autonomous driving software and stuff like that. Like that's insane. Like they're making almost $1 billion just in the automotive section. And the CEO, Jensen Huang, I believe is how I say his name, said the
Yeah.
auto business would pull in $5 billion in in this year on its way to being $1 trillion business at the end of last year. He said that. I don't know how true it is. I don't know what it's looking at for this year, but could be on its way to $1 trillion section just in NVIDIA by itself. That's insane.
No, it's
So
actually insane as fuck.
like the
Yeah.
automotive section itself, like not even just like everything else, just automotive. Oh yeah, it could be $1 trillion in however many years. Wild. So Nvidia's still doing this thing as Fish said, the market wanted more, market didn't get more, they sold it off. Just it is what it is. I mean, I think Nvidia's now you're not gonna get these big moves from Nvidia anymore. I don't think. I think it's
Nah.
kind of starting to like tap out in terms of like those big 10% moves.
Yeah.
You're looking to get like that 4%, 5% move in either direction, I feel like. And even if it was down, 5% after earnings, I think it closed down only like a couple percent like after after like the day after or something like that. So
Hmm.
very, very interesting earnings for them for sure. But I don't really, I saw they beat and they were like, nope, not good enough. And I was like, yep, what else is new? It happens in the video a lot. Like you need to put up like unbelievable numbers to
Yeah.
get a rally for NVIDIA. And that's just they're putting up good numbers. They're still printing a crap ton of cash. They still have a lot of future market value for sure. But it is what it is.
Yeah. Perfect's not perfect enough for Wall Street,
No, Wall Street's too greedy for that one. They want
That's
more
hundred
every day.
percent true.
Every day they want more.
100% true. On a macro aspect for the chart of NVIDIA, you know how you were mentioning those 5% moves that we would have every day? We were
Yeah.
consolidating. I know if you guys remember, right? Through the entirety of the beginning of 2025, then we had a tariff dump on this chart here for NVIDIA, and then we had a final breakout that basically the whole market followed through with. The very interesting thing about this is that, before we had this breakout, we had a lot of consolidation, we had a dump, and then we had a breakout. So on a
Hmm.
macro aspect, I feel like we're kind of getting that same exact visual on a daily chart, but on a smaller scale, right? We got to climb up here, and now we're having a lot of consolidation. And I'm not really sure what the catalyst is going to be. Last time it was tariffs, but this time it's not going to be something extreme that's going to take Nvidia down to $100, but something extreme enough to take it down to at least 152 or 150 to test those all-time highs once again. Well, those previous all-time highs once again to make some sort of resistance, support resistance flip. A nice little retest for continuation to the upside. Nvidia is one of those stocks that for right now you definitely want to be careful with it. It's been chopped up between the supply and demand zone for a while now. A lot more taps within the supply zone than the demand one, and a strong push down below demand is going to definitely take us all the way down to that 150 area. So, this if you're looking for a dip to buy, this is not the one yet. There's gonna be better opportunities moving forward within the market. And I feel like, same goes for a bunch of other stocks. We see Google made all-time highs. A lot of these names are pulling back a bit. Tesla from 353 down to 333 as well. And there might be a little bit of pain in the market, right? But nothing out of this world, nothing Trump tariff related. But this seems to be something very, that investors need to take caution in. If I feel like,
Yeah, man, for sure. I mean, again, you're the one who's got the charts, dude. Like, I'm looking at charts. I'm like, yeah, I'll do some fib levels here and there. That's about all I got. So the fact that you're mapping out all these gaps, stuff like that, man, support and resistance. It's honestly, it's amazing on how simple like you can make trading be, where you just set up support, resistance. Hey, it comes in the zone here, buy. Comes in the zone here, sell. Whatever the case is, like it really can be that simple, and you make it look so much easier, man. So let me tell you, like I can't be doing that kind of stuff. So I
No
appreciate
worries,
that
man. I
for you as
appreciate
always.
it. Yeah, always tell people all the time, you got to be able to know where the buyers were, where the sellers were. You want to follow liquidity. Liquidity is the money. Liquidity is the movement in the market, right? And we noticed that this area was a very compressed area of liquidity. A lot of buyers were getting squeezed to the downside. Institutional investors were not letting it go, and so we finally all were on the same page, and everybody, was taking Nvidia to new all-time highs. And now it seems like we're hitting a roadblock again, right? So as an institutional
Mm,
investor, where's the liquidity left at, right? Probably at the area that we squeezed out the buyers before. So that would be an interesting zone to see if we have any institutional buyers waiting to get their hands wet.
yeah.
Some
No,
very
man, for
interesting
sure.
stuff here for sure. What do you
Yeah,
guys
dude.
think?
I would definitely agree. I mean, you mentioned the ideas of tariffs, right? I mean, obviously, like I think, like honestly, I kind of just don't even like think much about it anymore. But we had the big news drop after hours Friday. And I'll be curious to know how the market's going to react to this on Tuesday morning when it opens up. We had the big news drop that the appeals court comes out and says these tariffs are illegal. Everybody's been saying it for a while, and they're just like, no, they're not illegal. And they're like, no, you are. It is definitely an illegal thing you're doing here. So I'm going to be curious to see how the market's going to react to this because, honest to God, I think the best case scenario is all tariffs get thrown, in my opinion. Long story short,
Wow.
throw it all out, get it out the window. It's all illegal. What you're doing isn't right. Get rid of these tariffs. And I think if that news were to come out, I think we're going to be staying in this bull market. That's
New
my
all-time
short speech to the
highs
point thing.
forever.
That's
Yeah,
what that's
100%.
that's what I really think because it's just these tariffs have caused so much drama, so much uncertainty in this market here. I think these all get pulled off the table sooner rather than later, and I think we're gonna be pushed back to all-time highs. But now I hear what's going on is that it has to go to the Supreme Court now, I believe. So now the Supreme Court's got to make a decision about the whole thing because they go higher than the appeals court and all this kind of stuff like that. So best case
Mm.
scenario would be
Uh,
tariffs
sounds like a
off the board, off the board.
Yeah, it sounds like a road trip of indecision and an explosive outcome, right? That's
Mm,
definitely what we're looking at.
mm. I think what would be interesting though to see is what would rates do if tariffs get pulled back off the table?
Now that's an amazing fucking question. No, 100%. Literally.
Because because if you really think about it, right? Like you know, Powell and the Fed are talking about cutting rates now because even though tariffs are pushing inflation higher, labor market's going a lot lower, right? So it's going to push inflation higher. So then, if they take away tariffs, are they going to then just wait to see if the labor market recovers by itself naturally and then hold rates for longer until the labor market recovers? I don't really know. So that would be a huge like what if I feel like for me is what would happen if you know I mean what would probably happen and my initial thought would be this best case scenario tariffs are wiped off the board we're good to go and what's going to happen companies come back out we can start hiring people more we don't have to pay as many tariff prices in the consumers people start
Hmm.
hiring again labor market recovers we see inflation tick down slowly but surely over time then we get rate cuts later on that would be like my like best case scenario, I
100%.
feel like, for the market here.
I
But
completely agree.
I would love that to happen like tomorrow, but it's obviously not going to happen because I just think that these tariffs have put a huge wrench into anything the Fed wanted to do beginning of this calendar year. They were already talking about doing rate cuts, earlier on in the year, and because of all these things coming out, they were like, nope, they had to push back and delay everything. So, I think that would be the best case scenario. I haven't seen much about what they're going to rule, but honestly, I'm kind of glad the appeals court is like, nope, you're absolutely not correct. You are wrong. And now they're going to be going, who knows how long. I don't know how much longer this is going to take, though. That's the problem, See if I can
Yeah.
find anything about it anywhere. Um, I don't know, Fish, Perunga, do you have any thoughts about the appeals court decision and stuff like that? Oh, it's 7-4, by the way, ruling. I don't know if you guys have any thoughts on that or not.
Hmm.
Look, when it comes to anything with the courts, I say just wait and see.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
But
that
what's
the market
the
hates wait and see.
Right? What's that, Prunga?
what was the 7-4?
7-4 ruled that the tariffs were not
Oh,
actually
illegal.
legal to do.
And then they're okay,
Yeah.
okay. And it's going to the appeals court now.
I believe it's going to the Supreme Court now.
Oh, right. And then later on. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, so the
Okay.
appeal court pauses ruling from taking effect to October 14th in order to give the Trump administration to ask the Supreme Court to reverse the decision. So it's October 14th. Put that on your calendar. Might be interesting to see how that goes. So they're gonna push that out as long as they can, if you think about it.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Bruno. Do you have any thoughts on that? Any kind of ideas?
I mean, we'll see. I don't know. It's similar to what Fish said. It's like, yeah, whatever. It's too much drama, dude. That's all.
Exactly. Like at this point, it's like it seems like it's all just there to keep us all crazy.
Yeah, seriously.
Right.
It's like a reality TV show. It's on our edge of our seats for some shit.
Right. It's
Oh my
like
God.
royalty says, trade the chart in front of you.
Yeah, it's
Mhm.
like, I mean, I think if it go away, it will probably be a good thing. But, we'll see what happens for the market, I mean, and us.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like,
I know we're gonna be wrapping up relatively soon here, but so a couple of things to take a look at. 'Cause I know we're gonna be wrapping up relatively soon here. So earnings this week. We actually got quite a few earnings this week. They're actually pretty good. For example, Figma, who just IPO'd recently, Figma has earnings after market on Wednesday. Anybody thoughts? Think
If they
bullish,
have earnings,
bearish?
they did the right thing selling this off, before anything like that, right? You want to make sure that the stock is ready for a catalyst, and this looks like a stock that's ready for a catalyst, right? We have 145 all-time highs. We have buyer compression, and we have a nice little consolidation here. What day is it supposed to land on?
Wednesday after hours.
Wednesday after
Figma just
hours.
IPO'd. Yep.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be nice and interesting. I mean, I'd look for upside, to be honest with you. They could probably outperform. Maybe that'd be a nice little $100 tap if they have
Yeah.
stellar reports. In terms of what they do and the deepness of this stock, I'm not 100% aware, but the chart looks nice.
Yeah, I believe that they were non-profitable. They were burning cash, but now they're looking at a positive earnings per share of 8 cents per share. So
It's not
that
bad.
could be a catalyst to maybe if it flips to positive earnings per shares. I mean, I think that'd be a really, really good catalyst to see how they're doing. I know they had a huge hype around like Adobe, like wanting to buy them out, and they were like, no, and then they went public with themselves. So Figma, I know is a good one. We have Salesforce after hours as well on Wednesday. Looking at Wednesday market close, looking at obviously a $2.12 earnings per share compared to $1.92 from last year. That's another good earnings one to take a look at for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Thursday, there's actually two really good earnings I think on Thursday. First one is Broadcom. Broadcom is Thursday after
Ooh,
hours, which is a
that's
huge
gonna
one
be
I know for a lot
interesting.
of people.
Yeah.
There after hours, and also I'm actually interested to see how Lululemon does after hours because they've been getting destroyed by tariffs and all the
Very
news
bad.
behind all that.
Wow. Yeah,
And
very, very bad.
they've been getting slaughtered by tariffs here. So you guys have any thoughts about Broadcom or maybe Lululemon for Thursdays for earnings? Any kind of like initial thoughts come to mind?
Broadcom's not a stock that I really watch. And as far as Lulu is concerned, um, I mean, I'm always bearish on it, and they always have good earnings. So I say go with rich people in yoga pants.
I like that. Good vibes. Good vibes. Good vibes.
Right,
I,
Barunga, any thoughts on those two?
well, I think with Lulu, it's probably tariffs, but also I think like they have way more competition now, and that they really need to do something probably. Period. I don't know about earnings specific, but I think that's another reason why they're hurting is they have other competition that is they didn't have before.
Right.
And
I mean, I'd
with
be curious to know.
Avgo,
I'd be
yeah, go
curious to know
ahead.
how they do with it. Yeah. No, go ahead, dude. Sorry, I
No,
cut
no,
you
no,
off. My
no.
bad. Go
No,
ahead.
I was going to talk about Avgo. So you go ahead with Lulu.
I would say like Lulu has been dealing with that lawsuit They're the
Right.
ones that sued Costco, right, for their
Costco.
clothing brand. And like you're saying,
Right.
competition is just there. So if Costco can sell your same kind of clothing basically for cheaper, then why go to Lululemon, right?
They got that, and
So
then they also have, like we talked about, like Viore and all those other. I forget a couple other ones that are, you know, people like more now.
right. As for Broadcom, go ahead.
Oh, I can't say, are they going to go up or down, but I'm sure they'll continue up in the long run.
hmm
That's all I got to
And
say
then,
on that.
I missed one. I missed one good one, and we talked about this last week, I believe. Fish and Purunga with royalty. Dollar General had their earnings last week, and they're actually really
Right.
good earnings, and they raised guidance of that, which is really good. They still didn't do well, but their partner in crime for dollar stores, Dollar Tree's got earnings Wednesday,
Oh,
pre-market as
okay.
well. I know we
Okay.
talked about Dollar Tree a little bit, I believe. So they have earnings pre-market. They're actually looking at their earnings per share is 38 cents expected. Last year's was 67.
Mm.
So that's a huge drop off. I'm not sure what that could be. Would be very interesting to see how that goes. But I'm still someone who would like to get into a Dollar General deep leap option for that one for sure. I think there's a company who's gonna do relatively well long term no matter what. Dollar General beat on their earnings per share last week. They were looking at $1.56. They got $1.86. So it's a 19% upside there, which is absolutely amazing. I think Dollar General is going to be just going. I didn't know there's also guys before I know wrapping up, but they actually are partnered with Uber Eats, I believe, for some things as well. Isn't that interesting? I didn't know that. You know if you guys knew that or not.
Dollar General.
Damn, Dollar General is partnered with Uber Eats. That's fire as fuck, though.
Yeah, I can tell you. I can read it to you relatively quick, and then we can kind of wrap it up here. So, but Dollar General, the Uber. This happened like earlier in August. So they partnered with Uber Eats for on-demand deliveries of household essentials across the country. The partnership is said to bring more than 14,000 Dollar General and Pop Shelf locations to the Uber Eats platform. So more exposure to Dollar General from Uber Eats, so people can get stuff delivered to them on the behalf. Instead of having to go to the store, they can actually do it that way. So that I think could be relatively good for them long term. Again, I've liked Dollar General. I think right now at $108 a share or whatever it's at right now, I think it's going to be a great long term buy for me. So I'm looking at probably getting a leap option at some point in Dollar General, just because again, if we go into a recessionary period, where are they going to go to? Dollar stores to buy stuff. Still, it's cost somewhere, right? So I think Dollar General is going to do really, really well long term. I'm not too worried about them, but the partnership with Uber Eats I think is great, giving that exposure to them. So I'll be curious to see what Dollar Tree does, because Dollar Tree again is looking at a lower earnings per share compared to last year. So should be relatively interesting on that one.
Mm, I like that. No, I like that 100%. Good shit. And look, the
Yeah.
chart looks very good. It looks very primed as well. Earnings is
Mhm.
around the corner. It's been very cheap. It's been shorted heavily. And we're looking at a higher time frame that's just exhausted, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I
Yes.
100% like that.
So, I'm starting to play some leap options and sell some covered calls to kind of offset it a little bit here. So it's kind of what my logic's going to be moving forward. Is that way, if the market comes down, I can at least offset my cost basis, but still have time for it to recover. It's kind of the hope for it. But I don't know. Do you guys have any other stocks? Anything that's on your radar before we wrap it up here? Because I know we gotta get out of
Mm-hmm.
here in a couple minutes. Anybody else have
What you
any kind
guys
of
got?
I don't.
Runga fish?
I mean, I'll just say, hey, buy Ondas on the red days if you can. I'm firmly believe that that's going to be a 10x within a few years.
1000%. Look at this movement. Look how much room there is to go. Nice little curvature, consolidation, and we're looking at 10 plus if we continue holding these $5 highs, $4 highs in time, obviously. But yeah, fish 100% right on that, man. Buy those dips, guys. Buy those dips.
Absolutely, man. So again, we're gonna wrap it up here because we gotta get out of here. Obviously, it's open tomorrow, but it'll be open on Tuesday here. So, do you guys have any kind of parting words for anybody of the viewers before we wrap it up here and call the night on the roundtable?
I got one more stock actually. I remember Fish was talking about the Olympics earlier, and it brought Nike to my head. So when you said
Mm,
Olympics, I thought about Nike. And Nike has been
Hmm.
on a downtrend for a long time. Look at that monthly chart. And we're finally getting some sort of life here, and we're getting a little bit of a breakout towards those 77, $80 highs here. And
Hmm.
this is a multi-monthly time frame breakout. So this is something that's going to take a lot of time, and it's going to be a progressive move to the upside. You said 2028 is the Olympics. So anything that happens in between that, right, till then, it's just going to be. I think this stock is going to have a lot of explosive moves to the upside in due time, and it's been at a very low level. We have RSI diverging with price action. Buyers are starting to step in a little bit here, and yeah, no, I think it's at a very, very good level to buy. To be honest with you, as long as we hold above these $70 highs, I don't see it coming back down to these $54 levels, these $53 levels. Whoever bought those lows, man, amazing. There's been a lot of insider buying as well. Yeah, just keep an eye on it, to be honest with you guys. These breakouts, they're going to start to happen around 80 plus. Once we get that $80 support, you're going to start to see 85, 90, 95, 100, and it's going to become more and more normal for Nike to do that because it's been there before. So just keep an eye on this one. Nice little stock. Dividends are good as well. If you guys want to add anything to that, but yeah, 100%. I like this one too. I'm going to keep an eye on it.
I think it's a great thing to look at, especially for Olympics coming up.
Right. And you got a lot of in between stuff going on too. Right. Partnerships, you know what I mean? These deals, brand deals. And yeah, they're maintained as a hold for right now from a lot of these different institutions. But once they start, picking up on deals and maybe even bigger money opportunities, we'll see what happens, right? Dividends might expand, shareholders might get paid more. We'll see.
Mhm. Love that, man. It's a nice little call out there. So, yeah, love that, man. Absolutely awesome. And the chart looks great for the monthly. So I respect it 100%. Purunga, so any kind of closing remarks, any kind of thoughts before we wrap it up here?
No, just yeah, enjoy your Labor Day or day off if you're not in the U.S. and just keep trading small in case whatever happens because we don't know.
Yeah, man, for sure.
Sure.
I couldn't say any better myself. Fish, any closing words for the people out there that are listening to this podcast as per usual?
Yeah, take tomorrow as like a mental reset day from the market. Like seriously, like take the day off. Like maybe spend a little bit of time looking at charts, but try to just give yourself that time just to go out and be you and do the things that you enjoy. It's important.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely love that. Yeah, and again, I would say the same thing. Tomorrow's a nice reset day. I'm gonna go work out in the morning. I'm off tomorrow from work, so I'm gonna go work out in the morning, get a nice little relaxation in. Do a little bit of reading up into some stocks, probably for sure. But just like Fish said, use this time, reset, research, whatever it is you got to do. And I think the most common advice people say all the time is there's days where you don't need to trade at all. If you don't like it, don't trade it. There's 365 days in a year. There's 20, 30 years of your life ahead of you to trade still. So don't feel like you're missing out and don't have that FOMO of trading just to make a trade just so you can get part of the market. You never know what's going to happen. Make sure it sets up to your criteria. This is what my advice would always be. There's always going to be another trade coming in no matter what. So we are going to wrap it up here. Again, thank you guys, Purunga, trying to make it, New Fish. Thank you guys for tuning in as always here. Shout out to the Kingdom as per usual for everybody who's tuning in here. You guys are absolutely awesome. And I just we couldn't be doing this without you guys. So we appreciate you guys taking the time to do this for sure, as per usual.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Our pleasure, our
Man.
honor. We love you guys very much. Everybody in the Kingdom, shouts out to everybody out there. We love you very much, guys. And get your education up, join the Kingdom. We have so much information to offer for anybody out there listening that wants to join in to the market in a friendly environment and learn about the economy. No question is a dumb question, and we're always here to help. So, yeah, thank you very much once again for anybody that tuned in and shared some insight with us. Thank you. Thank you.